Marco had always been a straightforward, hard-working man. Running his small cafe and bookstore was his pride and joy, and after years of dedication, it had become a beloved spot for locals. Despite his love for the business, times were tough. Recent economic shifts and rising rent were forcing him to consider selling the place. It was an excruciating decision, but he was losing faith that the cafe could sustain him for much longer. One chilly evening, as Marco was closing up, he noticed a young woman and her newborn baby huddled under the cafe's awning. The woman's clothes were worn, and she looked exhausted and frightened. Seeing them there stirred something in Marco's heart. He approached her gently, learning her name was Sophia. Recently left without a place to stay, she was struggling to make ends meet. Seeing her desperation, Marco felt a pull he couldn't ignore. Against his practical nature, he offered Sophia and her baby a temporary place to stay in the small studio above his cafe, a cozy space he had once rented to friends or family but had since left vacant. Sophia was hesitant, but her dire situation made her accept his offer gratefully. Marco assured her it would just be for a week, enough time for her to find other options, and he offered her a warm meal from the cafe. Days passed, and Marco busied himself with managing the cafe and preparing it for the inevitable sale. However, something unusual began to happen. Customers commented on the warm, home-like atmosphere of the cafe, something that had been missing for some time. Marco noticed how Sophia would come downstairs during quieter hours, taking in the books, rearranging shelves, and even entertaining some customers by reading to their kids. Her presence seemed to bring the place to life in a way Marco hadn't seen before. In just 1 week, Marco grew fond of Sophia and her baby Gabriel. She reminded him of the dreams he had for the cafe in its early days, a place of connection, community, and comfort. But he was still wary. He had only met Sophia recently after all. When the week came to an end, he planned to have a polite but firm conversation with her about leaving. The day arrived, and Marco climbed the stairs to the studio, bracing himself. However, when he knocked, there was no response. Confused, he tried again. The door, left slightly ajar, swung open at his touch. Inside, he found the room empty. The bed was made, and a small note lay neatly on the pillow. His heart raced with curiosity and worry as he picked it up. The note read, "Thank you, Marco, for offering us shelter. I didn't have much, but I wanted to leave you something meaningful. Please, go downstairs to the storage room. Sophia." Feeling both puzzled and intrigued, Marco hurried downstairs and unlocked the storage room, which had mostly been a dusty space he rarely bothered with. What he found inside stunned him. In one corner was an old wooden trunk that Marco hadn't seen in years. Inside it were some heirlooms and memorabilia from his early years. Alongside them, however, was something that took him by surprise. A scrapbook that hadn't been there before. Opening it, Marco found a story in photographs and notes, a tale of Sophia's life, her struggles, and her hopes for Gabriel's future. It turned out that Sophia had been taking pictures around the cafe, capturing quiet, candid moments of customers laughing, children reading, and elderly patrons enjoying their coffee. Each picture was accompanied by handwritten notes reflecting on her experience in the cafe and her wish to provide her son with a life filled with warmth and kindness, things she'd seen in Marco's shop. Looking through the pages, Marco's heart softened. He realized that the connection, kindness, and purpose he'd been searching for had been right in front of him all along. The cafe had never been just a business. It was a place where lives intersected, where people found comfort in each other's company. And Sophia's time there had reignited that magic. Instead of rushing to sell the cafe, Marco made a decision that would surprise his regulars. He began sharing Sophia's scrapbook with them, showing what the cafe meant to people. He set up a small donation box, modestly labeled "Support for a Future," and to his amazement, his loyal customers began to contribute generously. Word spread, and before long, people in the neighborhood were volunteering to help the cafe thrive. Through his small but resilient community, Marco found a way to keep the cafe running. With renewed purpose, he started hosting events, poetry readings and art nights, bringing new life to the place he had nearly given up on. As months passed, Marco often thought of Sophia and her baby Gabriel. He wondered where they were and hoped they were safe. Her short stay had changed him and given him a newfound appreciation for what he had built. The cafe no longer felt like a burden, but a place of possibility, one he could be proud of once again. Marco's story became a legend among the patrons. Some said that Sophia and Gabriel were like angels, appearing to remind Marco of his purpose. And every now and then, Marco would look toward the door, half expecting them to walk back in, though knowing, in his heart, they had already left him with everything he needed. This story serves as a reminder of the power of compassion, the importance of community, and how small, unexpected encounters can renew purpose and change a life forever.